You haven't heard about the McCrispy yet? Well, then, you probably haven't heard the sweet silence after the first crispy bite either. Go try it for yourself to hear the best nut sound you've ever heard.
Naked came out of my mother's womb and nigga showed me to me. Yeah. Y'all still with us?
I first heard about my next guest, East Point MC Yamin Semali, when I read an article about his track Immortal. The song deals with mental health awareness and dealing with losing somebody and depression. After reading the article, I immediately started listening to his music, and he's just an incredible MC. With that, Yamin Semali, welcome to the library with Tim EInenkel. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Tim.
You start boiling it, life goes on, even if you ain't enjoying it. You might as well create the panacea from the poisonous. I'm making noises, boisterous, while my voice exists. The world is like my oyster is. I'm about to stick a sword.
When we think of ATL MCs, we think of Outkast, Dungeon Family, Field Mob, Goody Mob, et cetera, But what should we know about the Atlanta hip hop scene that's maybe not known by national or even international?
I would say that's a really good question, man. In the last few years, I would say people would really need to know about Stolen Drums and Tuami. These are producers, and I think the beat scene in Atlanta is a little bit more, what's the word I should say? I think it's just coming to the forefront a lot more. It's burgeoning more than the MC, even, hip-hop stuff as we know it on the radio and things like that. But a lot of great producers out here. We got a lot of dope cats like Funk Shoe, Creative. Man, there's too many cats, but the whole Controller Eyes crew, people really should know about them. And there's also a lot of people coming to Atlanta for the beat scene, producers and people coming through on tours, and it's changed a lot, So I would say Stolen Drums is one of the people, one of the main figures behind that and pushing it and getting people involved. So definitely we should just be known more for production. It's kind of like not just trap stuff, but like what people call the lo-fi stuff. And I think people should pay more attention to that coming out of Atlanta right now.
How is that changed for you? How is that kind of influencing you as an MC?
Well, I've always been a producer too,
right?
So it's just kind of giving me more of a social life because when you make beats, it's like almost like you speak in a different language when you talk to different producers in the mix of like civilians. You know what I mean? So it's cool. We get somewhere where we can all kind of build and network, and also it's attractive to people who just love music. So it's not just a bunch of us, talking about technical stuff, but they do a lot of dope stuff, man. Like they play anime movies on the projectors. They have video games out on the Monday night events they do. But it's just been a lot more social, you know what I mean? Like I kind of grew up as the only child making beats in the attic, and mostly if it wasn't DT, who was my homie, I used to rhyme with. If it wasn't him, it wasn't really nobody. So now that there's a lot more cats who actually, even some of these cats even look up to us as being one of the first people who was really doing beat stuff, dropping beat tapes in Atlanta.
So,
and that's just been good for me to kind of keep me with my finger on the pulse of what's going on around here.
You said in an interview, hip hop started by giving a voice to the voiceless. I think as long as you keep it honest in that regard, you'll always going to get good feedback. What was that first piece of music that you remember hearing, whether it doesn't have to be hip-hop at all, it could be something else that kind of gave you your voice?
I would say, honestly, my mom got a CD player from my uncle when I was about 5 or 6, and he didn't take out his Brand Nubian CD. So when we got into the house, I was listening to, their first album a lot, and that's a lot of stuff, a lot of the content on there I might not have been familiar with at that age, but I knew that they was black, and I knew that they was like definitely saying stuff I didn't hear on TV. So that kind of started, just knowing that there was an avenue for people to get their voice out, even back in like 1990. So I would say that was probably the first time I saw it on accident. Like, I was looking behind the curtain. It wasn't like I was, it almost felt like I was researching something I wasn't supposed to know about, because it was just the way I came about it. It wasn't no TV, it wasn't no adults around, and it was just me and this album. So, yeah, that would probably be the first time from a hip-hop standpoint. But, I grew up listening to Motown with my grandma, or my foster parents, for a little period of time. That was. Even with my mom, my birth mom, Motown was always like constant thread between all my family structures, singing Motown songs. And, that's probably the first music I was really attached to.
Right. When did you kind of start, I guess, gravitating to writing lyrics, or even maybe even rhyming in your head or out loud to friends? When did you make that?
Started young as was clowning around when I was like 9. It wasn't nothing so serious. But by the time I got to be 15, I was making beats, and a lot of cats around me was doing both. I was making beats and rhyming, like the Vinyl Junkie Clique, which is a crew from Los Angeles that came here to Atlanta. A lot of them to pursue, higher education with the AUC and Clark and Morehouse and Morris Brown. When those brothers came here, those were like my big brothers. So the same people who was teaching me about beats, teaching me about rhymes and DJing. It all started from DJing, though. So that was like 15 years old, still in high school, but, out in the clubs and doing work with record labels like Red Distribution, who used to distribute for Loud Records.
Mm-hmm.
Their vinyl, they had like a hub down there, so I would be around vinyl, new releases, stuff from 3-6 Mafia, or like even Hieroglyphics and Big Pun, Wu-Tang, Dead Prez. A lot of that stuff was coming through there. So, I met a lot of DJs like that too. So really, it all exploded for me at 15. Like all the elements, from like performing to promotion to beat making, crate digging, like all the things I pretty much do now, it started like when I was 15 years old.
You talked about, we obviously mentioned that quote about giving voice to the voiceless, and, you're a producer, you're an MC. Is there stuff that you are able to do with just music production that, it could be, a voice itself that does not, you can't do essentially with rhyming, and, is there stuff you can do with rhyming that you can't do with music production?
Well, with production, you can use a lot of audio clips, and you can kind of get your point across like vicariously. And, if the beat's banging and you got like a clip from, whomever said something that you agree with or that you want to, use, or even if you don't agree with it, like, you can artistically make a point off of that without rhyming at all. And, yeah, I think that's the power of beats, is like you can kind of create the world around you like as a mirror without using your own voice, but you can still kind of like get your point across. Because people are, people know who the messenger is. Like if you put a quote from Trump on a beat, the automatic like idea there is that like this is a bullshit message, right? Like, like people kind of get that, or George Bush Jr., whoever, and it's just you got to leave stuff up to the interpretation of the people listening sometimes too, and make it more abstract. Lyrically, when I rhyme, it's like I don't really leave a lot of clues or like room for duality. It's a point of view, my perspective, and it's more definitive. It might be more, not that I'm looking to offend somebody, but it might be more offensive because it's not, I have to stand behind what I say.
Right. Yeah.
So it's just different approaches for different things. You might not want to go 10 toes down into every subject, but you still want to touch on it. So, it's just different methods to the medium, I like that I can do both. I'm actually coming out with an instrumental album next month, And it's just some summertime stuff, man. Like, but it was kind of relief for me because usually if I do beats and stuff, it's going to have some type of theme or it's going to have some type of audio clips, just kind of like, you know, have some type of agenda or whatever. But this was just beats, so I'm kind of just getting back to basics a little bit, and that's therapy for me because I've been rapping my ass off for years, and I just kind of want to dial it back a little bit and give people something to enjoy.
The track I mentioned at the beginning, "Immortal," is obviously an extremely personal track that kind of deals with your struggle after losing your mother. Can you just take us into that track? But also, when did the idea come to you to write this type of track, and how did you know that this was like the right time to do it?
Oh yeah, well, my boy Schizo, Double O Schizo, he's in Virginia, and I went up there for about 3 or 4 days a couple years ago. We wrote about 3 songs in that 4. Well, we wrote like 4, about a song a day. That was one of them. Some of them made it on the EP we did called the Hot EP. Mm-hmm. And we got another album pretty much done where Immortal is going to be on that. But my mom died in 2013 from suicide, and that was something that I didn't really want to attach ever. I was like, man, I'm never talking about this shit. So we ended up, the track just spoke to me in a certain way. Before the strings was on it and all that, I'll get into that too, but I didn't really want to make a song that was like straight up about suicide or nothing like that. I just felt like that would be kind of corny, or either corny or I just would never want to hear it again. So I just decided to make a song for people who passed away in general, and something that was kind of helpful to other people who might have lost people, in crazy situations, and at the same time give that type of respect back to my mom at the same time, because we didn't really have the best relationship around that time. So, that just was something I felt like getting off. I had it done for a while. Then my boy Dave West, who he produces for De La Soul, and mostly De La. You probably know more of his music from De La.
Yeah, he's also been on the show, so that's kind of cool. Yeah, no, Dave West is a great guy.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, great guy.
Okay, yeah. That's the homie, man. And I was more so saying that I figured you knew, but just for anybody out there listening, he put me in touch with Piranha Head out of Detroit, homie Maurice, who did all the string work on the last De La Soul album, the Anonymous Nobody. Talked to him, we talked about a couple songs we could have did, and I was like, that would be the perfect song to do that for, because of the content, you know what I mean? I wanted to make it something that was more like honorary for my mom, because we didn't really have no funeral. It wasn't like people in my family, some people in my family didn't even know. So, because we were so spread out. So, I just wanted something to kind of stand as a good piece of history, you know what I'm saying, for my family or whatever, in my discography, and just have something that was important to a lot of people. So he produced the strings on there. I just got the footage actually earlier this week from the session. So when my website goes up, I'll have that all on there. So it kind of looked like behind the scenes a little bit.
That's dope.
But we dropped the song, donated a nice portion of the proceeds to an Atlanta-based foundation for specifically Black women health, dealing with, pregnancies and different biological things that affect women, and disproportionately Black women in the Atlanta area, because I feel like that was definitely a health issue my mom was dealing with. Mm-hmm. And if you have anybody that, is going through something like that, it is definitely something with health, man. It's with chemicals and a lot of things going on, and it's not really your job to fix that, but you can support people as much as you can. And I kind of just wanted to give people that little ability to maybe, hear that and feel like, okay, well, a little bit of my load is off because I'm not doing it all by myself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really where I'm at with it, man. I'm the only child from my mom. I got a brother by my dad that you don't even know my dad. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I got a real spread out family, man. But he has a daughter now. You know what I mean? So I'm an uncle now, and
Wow.
you know, I'm just starting to kind of look at life a little bit differently. I wanted to create something that was kind of important to the time that we're in right now, so we can kind of like deal with some healing on a certain level. So that was my contribution to that in an artistic way.
You mentioned the strings and on the song, and you know it just you listen to it, it goes perfectly with your flow and style. How important was it to have those kind of strings to help kind of, I guess, elevate the message?
It took the song to another level, man. Like, I got to give all props to Piranha Head, man. He's super dope, man. He works with like Bootsy Collins and Amp Fiddler and all these legendary cats. You know, a lot of the cats playing on the song, part of the Detroit Symphony Orchestra, cats who are tied to Motown Records, and that's kind of full circle because I was just talking to you about Motown.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it was just dope, man. It took it higher, bro. And I mean, my man, not just who he works with, like Foreign Exchange or whoever, but he's just a super talented guy, man. I'm glad I met him through Dave, and hope to work with him again. And it kind of gave me more. I was kind of feeling like a slump around that time, so he just kind of opened up more possibilities to me as an artist to keep kind of motivated and keep going. And you know, there's a lot more to do. You know what I mean? So like, I can't stop. I can't front. Like my mom passing, sometimes it just makes me just stop and think. And I lose time, bro. I lose time sometimes. Like that's like the only thing that's ever slowed me down, like even a little bit. So that was really important to kind of connect with more professionals. You know what I mean? Because in Atlanta, man, there's a lot of people doing this shit, but they're not. they're not classically nothing. You know what I mean? Or like even classically minded. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not trying to diss my town, but it's like a million rappers in every town.
Right.
And Atlanta's like what people say. People need to be here to get noticed or whatever. But you know, that type of acumen stuff, man, like that's shooting for the stars type stuff for me, and it made it all worth it, you know. So when that album actually comes out, I really hope it does really even better than the EP, because I did the EP overseas and they got a new fans. I hope all those new fans can connect with this one too, because Schizo's a dope producer. He pulls a lot of stuff out of me. So yeah, it's gonna be it's some cold stuff on there. I can't wait for it to come out. I just want it to come out right.
You spit, I'm a pillar in my community, but I walk around like a killer with immunity. You spit on the hot intro off the hot EP. Can you talk about these lyrics, and was there an event or occurrence that might have happened that kind of inspired you to write these lyrics? These lyrics, that line is fucking bananas, by the way, but I just had to like rewind 3 times. Like, what? It was dope. It was dope.
I mean, this is Atlanta, right? So the leadership is black most of the time. You know, the mayor, you know, just a lot of in the city, man, like a lot of council people. And I've worked with some of these people. I worked with council member Kwanzaa Hall on a couple projects to like beautify Old Fourth Ward, you know, cleanups, neighborhood cleanups. I've done, you know, I've hit the streets when a lot of black women was missing. I've hit the streets with pamphlets with my people, with my man Supreme Understanding, and you know, we click up for the community when it's time. You know, like Guerrilla Republic. You know, we've been involved with a lot of or just initiatives. You know, like kids out here selling water on the street. You know what I'm saying? My man Rob Love from Guerrilla Republic, who merchandises me with clothing. You know, he made T-shirts for those kids. You know what I'm saying? Gave them some type of, you know, some pride in what they're doing. So it's just like we tied to all these type of things, man. We put money on these things, and it's like I am a pillar in my community. You know what I'm saying? But like people actually do want me to speak on issues, and they want me to connect them with people, and I take pride in that. But at the same time, you know what I mean? Like at any given moment, I could get treated like, you know, say a criminal, man. If I'm in the wrong area, I fit a description. Right. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's how they act. So that's what that line really meant, because that's the reality it is, man. You know, like having a good face card means a lot. Like knowing certain people, knowing certain lawyers has helped me out when I might have been asked out, you know what I'm saying, out of town, coming back from North Carolina, doing a show somewhere, you know, going through Canada. You know, I've had situations where, you know, I was not looked at as a pillar. You know what I'm saying? So that's just what it is to be a black person, and like, you know, you could be law-abiding, and I'm not trying to sound nihilistic, but, you know, you can wear a suit, you can do whatever, but it don't even matter. Like the police chief in New York got a gun drawn on him by somebody who thought he wasn't a cop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, police officers get their ass whipped undercover by other police officers. You know what I'm saying? So that's the mentality we dealing with. So, that's all that meant, man. You know, that's the old story.
But you also see with like the reaction to the Central Park Five in New York getting exonerated, even with DNA evidence, there's still, you know, people still are convinced they're guilty of, you know, and it's just because there were 5 young black men at the time that were just happened to be outside. Yeah,
man, and you know, ain't much change with that. It's like people, you know, kids get treated like adults, and you know, cops body slamming girls. You know how it be, man. It's all in our face now. Right. But that's what I've been dealing with that since I was like 7. You know, like, am I in a gang, or like, where you going? You know, like 7 years old, bro. So that's always, you know, something I'm gonna call that out. You know, if I ever do get more like quote unquote famous, I'm never gonna, you know, forget that. You know what I'm saying? That's what Tupac and the whole thug life thing was, the hate you gave. That's what all of this is really about, man. Throwing it back in the faces of like the people who like stereotype us this way. So you getting paid off a stereotype more or less. You know, with a lot of rappers, like, I don't feel like I fall in that mode, but, you know, talking about your guns on your song, talking about certain stuff on these songs, like, these things are staples because it paid, you know what I'm saying? And it became popular, but, you know, a lot of people I know people who hold guns who ain't at all thugging, you know what I'm saying? So if I talk about strapping up, like, what does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Versus somebody who's in the NRA. You know what I mean? It's just like a lot of stereotypes, you know, and double standards. So that's all.
There's a few references in the Hot AP where you lyrically refer to as pretty much you're older, you're old, you know, you're lyrically older than your peers, so to say, right?
Yeah.
Is there an era that you? I mean, do you feel like you should be in this era, or is there an era in hip hop that you would, you know, you kind of see yourself in, or maybe, I don't know, wish you were born at that time to kind of, you know, be a part of that, those peers?
I mean, you know, I always kind of get that. People tell me that all the time, like, oh man, you would have killed it, like, if there was like more traditional like routes of being, you know, of music coming out, like basically like as opposed to streaming and stuff like that, where it wasn't so many points of entry. People have, you know, I've heard people say that, like people like, interviewers such as yourself, or, you know, DJs in general, just, you know, tastemakers or whatever, even people I grew up listening to, they'd be like, man, you know, you would have killed it with us, or, you know what I'm saying? Because it's just so much of clown stuff gets attention. People who seeking attention, you know, they figured out how to get it. So that's not really my thing, you know, like getting viral and stuff like that. So people kind of like have said that to me, like, in a different era, you would have been all right, because whatever. But, you know, that's just speculation. I'm in between kind of two generations in my mind, and like how I always looked up, because I remember ADATs and like DAT tapes, and, you know, having to really go to studios, book studio time, big ass equipment, right, carrying vinyl, you know, taking records to the party. I did all that, but I was underage doing that, so it wasn't really my era, you know what I mean? But I was just there, and I was doing it, and, you know, so, and I was doing it like in high school, you know, my friends would, you know, that was cool to them that I was going to places they couldn't get into and stuff like that. But now it's like, I'm kind of in this new thing that we really didn't go to. It's like going to college for, you know, some type of occupation that don't really exist when you get out. You know what I mean? Right. But you got all these skills, you know, so you still got to make it work within this new framework. So that's the challenge, man. But I don't really feel I belong to either. I think I've always, like, even though how history has gone for me, like, I ain't really fit in anywhere, you know. So I've used that to my advantage when it worked. But the same way that'll help you, it can hurt you too. You know, same reason people love you, they hate you for the same reason. So you kind of got to, like, just figure it out, man. Pick and choose, and always choose yourself. You know what I'm saying? Get back to you and then go back out when you got something to give. But I ain't really part of neither one of these, like, I guess, you know, I don't know, generations. Like, that's not just me either. I think that might be the other generation, like, that I'm a part of. I say people like me, Difference Machine, my man Science in New York, just certain MCs, you know, that we rock with each other. My man Lazarus in North Carolina, Tucson. It's just so many different MCs, like Mike Sick here in Atlanta, Z Rich. We're not really part of either, but and we stand out for that. So at the best, you know, the best case scenario is that we just take everything we learn from everywhere, and that's, you know, what kind of like makes us stand out and achieve what we want. And at the worst case, it's just like we'll be appreciated way later, like when we dead and shit. But that's how I see it, you know, because like I know, you know, we're going to have a mark in history, but it's like, man, it's still being written. So
right,
trying to kill it while we're here.
The track "Do You Got Time" is, I think, on the EP is one of my favorites. I mean, every song on the damn EP is great. So, you know, there's not, you know, but "Do You Got Time" is great because you know, you kind of divide it into two parts, right? The first part is like, I got all the time in the world, kind of, you know, not a care in the world type thing, and then the second part, you kind of give that first part a lyrical reality check. Where you're like, you don't have all the time in the world. What the hell? So how did you come up with a concept of, you know, a track that just attacks the idea of time and how much we actually have of it?
Oh, man, I've always been, like, kind of obsessed with time. Just not even just, like, on the clock, but just, like, the concept of time itself and how, like, different civilizations looked at time, whether it was cyclical or linear and things of that nature, like twofold. So I don't know, man. Like it kind of came natural to me. Actually, the second beat I got first from Schizo, and then the first one I got later. And I was like, man, this is crazy. But I loved them both, and I just sat on both of them for a while. And okay, yeah. And then I remember the last line of the first verse was, let's say, people got their hand on the 9 like it's a quarter till. So I wrote that line, and I was like, okay, well, that's talking about time again. So then I wrote the hook. So I actually wrote the hook right after I finished that verse, and I just set the tone for the rest of it. Now I remember that, like, real vividly. Like the hand on the 9 thing kind of just made me start going down this whole. That's why I was like, okay, this is gonna be another one of those time joints. And yeah, because I think I got a couple of joints to kind of deal with time or chronology. Kind of going back, I can kind of point them out to you, but yeah, some of them joints is songs like from when I was in high school. I don't even really got no more, but I just remember like what we was talking about. Yeah, so yeah, I got a song called "Tomorrow's Yesterday." I got a song called "Prometheus." Yeah, so a couple of my best like written joints is talking about some type of like point A, point B. Or slowing that down time, stretching time, making it, you know, going back in time. That's like a reoccurring theme, but I never even thought about that until you asked that question.
Before I get into before I ask you the question, what does the future hold for you? There's, for someone who has never been actually able to write a lyric in his life because he's awful at it. I'm very blown away by like everything. You know, you that EP is great and everything about it. You know, lyrically is great and the music is great as well. But is there a lyric that you wrote down maybe years ago that kind of reassured you that, yeah, I'm good at this. I you know, this is what I need to do in my life. I need to be kind of a lyricist and a producer as well.
Oh man. I'm sure I got some, man, too. Oh, man, that's a good question, bro. I got so many, bro. And it's like I'm drawing a blank at the moment, just thinking like, so you basically asking like some bar or something.
Yeah, some bar.
I was like, okay, I was supposed to be on this, so I don't do it. Let's see. Alphabet, alpha male. And you a gangster, you kill time because it tells. When the tables turn, watch them put their heads in shells. 1,200 techniques from the heavens fell. Handed to the captives in the depths of hell. I guess somebody heard us yell for help and dealt us well. Now we got an outlet to let us out the devil's cell. So I'm sold that I'm free, even if I never sell. So something from that song. That's called Are You Sure?
That's dope.
There's a lot of stuff in that joint, man, that I kind of got off. But, yeah, that joint definitely, that's on my first album. And, but, yeah, it was a lot of stuff around that time, man. When I did that song Never Leave about my MP, I was like, okay, yeah, it's just, I could probably do that. That was me being new to being solo. So I was like, oh man, I got concepts, I can do this. Yeah.
So what what is next for you, and what is you obviously you do a lot for the community, and you also create a lot of great music. What are kind of the next steps for you musically, and also you for the community?
I really want to just speak in community. I just want to travel more. I actually want to get out of here again, get some more countries under my belt. I got some Asian connections that I've been kind of slowly looking at, because I'm kind of anchored here at the moment, man. I just got to free up a little bit. So travel, most definitely. YaminSemali.com will be out next month, July, and everything will be going through there now. So I'm kind of backing up from every other platform and just kind of trying to unify here, and then do the streaming stuff a little bit later. I want people to get it from me first, though. But yeah, just the site, man, and traveling, getting out again, do some beat touring, because I know people can get around just touring beats. I got songs too, but I want to do some more beat stuff for touring, and keep juggling, DJing, doing tricks, getting better at that, just without really trying to just be the DMC champ. I just have fun with it,
Nice.
But yeah, man, just more of that, dog. And I'm not really aging, you know what I'm saying? I ain't really getting old. I'm just like getting better.
Nice.
So it's just like, just more of that, man. That's health and movement. That's it.
That's dope. Yamin Semali, thank you so much, man, for being on the Library of Tim EInenkel. I learned more than from you doing about yourself and the research that I try to put into this, and it's a great hearing all that stuff you're doing for the community, and also your music discography is kind of incredible. So I appreciate you being on the show, man. Thanks.
I appreciate you, man. You got just from knowing who you've had on here, I know what you're into, and hopefully we just next time I'm up top, man, I can get up with you.
That's why my people is immortal. That's why you see the light at the end of the world. When I die, don't cry, 'cause I'm coming back for you.